Welcome to this very special edition of the KJ Masterclass Live, the show which ensures that you profit from your time spent here with experts, either through their industry insights, information, or simply learning from them. And today we have Peter John Mather. He is a skydiver, a national champion in skydiving, represented Team OB in skydiving four-time, and he is also an entrepreneur. Welcome to the show, Peter.
Thank you very much, AJ. Thank you very much for that beautiful intro.
You are welcome. Welcome to the show. Welcome to India in this online format, Peter. And I'm sure not just in India, but a lot of people will benefit from what we are going to talk right now. We'll be talking about how one can soar above adversity, just like you did. And before we come to the details, we'll try and understand a bit about your life, your journey, so that people learn directly from you, about you.
Thank you very much. Hi, I'm Peter Mather. I'm a skydiving instructor. I am also a national skydiving champion. I've also represented Great Britain 4 times right now. I am an entrepreneur owning 14 businesses, and one of them businesses is skydiving. I actually own, with 3 other business partners, a skydiving center with 2 aeroplanes and plenty of land, plenty of members of staff. And we teach anything from tandem skydiving, which is where you get strapped to someone, to accelerated freefall, where you become a skydiver yourself. Then we do events and we do all kinds of different stuff in the skydiving world. We've been doing that for the last 4 years of owning that place. And between the 4 of us, we've got a collective number of years in the sport, I think, if I'm not mistaken, of over 60 years collectively as a business. So we have quite a lot of experience in this game, and I believe, AJ, today is what you want to talk about is skydiving more than anything else.
Absolutely. You make it sound so easy, Peter, but you see, there was a time for when you had a heart attack at 21 years.
That is correct.
There was difficult time in, you were not looking at life the same way that you are looking at life right now, especially in 2020. I want to understand, how did you look at life beyond what you were looking at life at that point in time?
So that's a great question, by the way. That's an absolutely fantastic question. And I think the answer to that is, at 21, I did have a substance abuse overdose, and I did have a heart attack, and they brought me back at 21. And then at 25 is when I started skydiving. So 16 years ago, I started skydiving, and then diversifying from there, overcoming the heart attack to becoming a skydiver was one of the reasons why I become a skydiver. So it was the reason to give me a purpose to get up in life. So it was a purpose to then start learning how to skydive, becoming a skydiver, and stepping away from, let's call it, the old life of what I was living at the time, from the ages of 21 all the way up to 25 when I started skydiving. So that is a part of my life where you are correct. I did have an heart attack from a substance abuse overdose, and then from there it kind of developed. And then in 2020, we decided to buy a drop zone, which is a skydiving center, which I spoke about before. And that is where kind of my life went on a reversal again, where things were very good until that point. COVID hit, and then I went through a lot of own trauma and a lot of own understanding of me at that point in my life, where that then took me to a place where I hit rock bottom. I hit really rock bottom. I was abusing alcohol and substances at that time, and it was a time of my life where realistically a lot of pressure was on me, and I didn't know how to deal with it. And now I have routines, rituals, and habits and techniques to be able to deal with the things that I never thought. And this was the thing, is I never thought that I could deal with. And now I can deal with anything that is thrown at me without substance abuse, without any alcohol, without any drugs, without anything at all. I'm completely clean now. I've been clean for nearly coming up to 4 years, just over 3.5 years now. I've been clean from substances, alcohol, drugs, all that type of stuff. And the thing that I found is that, when I was 21 and I went through that situation, I then found a purpose, which was skydiving, which actually then fueled me to get this inside energy. And what I've found now since my last big thing in 2020, which was the COVID, is that I've now found a new thing, which is life itself. Actually, the essence of life is what fuels me to get up in the morning. And it's not an outside source, it's an inner thing of me. So it's the inner of my internal understanding of myself, instead of using an outside purpose. And I think when COVID hit, one of the things that probably a lot of people can relate to, and probably including yourself, AJ, is that when we use things from the outside to give us a source of purpose, once that is taken away, we feel lost. And I think that's what put me to the edge again, and that's what took me to that limit of not knowing where I was going in 2020. And that was the same thing. It was a different concept, but it was the same thing that happened when I was 21.
I understand, Peter, but I want you to help others understand one thing, is that when you are up in the sky, how does the earth look to you? How does the ground look to you? How does life look to you from up above the sky, doing something that you love so much?
So it's up to, how does it look to me from up there? That's a great question. Again, you have some really good questions right now. And I think it's the most peaceful but most scariest thing ever. And if anybody out there has done scuba diving, because scuba diving is a little bit more of a bigger kind of, let's say it's more recreational than skydiving. It's more well known across the world is scuba diving. And it's very similar to that. There's a whole amount of fear that runs through your body, but then it's so peaceful at the same time. And it's one of the most beautiful things that you can imagine. This picture in the background right now, this is I think there was 9 of us in this picture, and we're all flying our parachutes, but we're all concentrating so much. And there's a lot of fear involved, but there's a lot of beautiful kind of views that you're seeing. And it's very, very, very similar to, if anybody out there, has been scuba diving, it's that same kind of concept, because I am a scuba diver as well. So I can understand the feeling of the fear, also with the excitement of doing it. And it's the whole fact of, pushing the limits of what you believe is possible. So a lot of people that go skydiving may think, well, they're achieving it for a reason, and the reason is they want to overcome something.
Absolutely. Peter, now I want to understand, for those people who are facing difficult times, when you were facing difficult times, how can they look at the beautiful part of our existence, Earth, life, through your eyes? Because you were a skydiver, you saw the difficult parts, and then you are now alive to see many things, many achievements. People are not able to look at that bright side of the future or whatever that is possible. Well, help them understand, how should they look at life at one point in time, which you found it difficult to look at that way?
I think I would not wish anything on any. I don't wish anything that I went through onto anybody, because of the fact that I went so low that I actually then attempted suicide twice, and I went to a place where I would not recommend anybody going to. And I feel like the biggest thing that I take away from what I do right now, which is, lifestyle coaching, transformational coaching, podcast speaking, i.e. right now, is that it doesn't matter what situation you are in. There is always good that you can take from it. Always. And it doesn't matter. Example, in business, I own 14 businesses, and I'm not telling you that to be all kind of, hey, look at me, I've got 14 businesses. I'm explaining this so that you can understand the pressures that I go through with over 30 members of staff. You know, it may not at different times, at certain times of the year, I have over 50 to 60 members of staff, you know, that all looking for me kind of, and my other business partners, but mainly me in the financial side, because that's what I do for the business, you know. And it's anything that happens in life, and this is the key factor, is anything happens. It doesn't matter how bad it seems at the time. There is always a good that will come from it, and you have to find the good in it. And, you know, we call it there is a gift in every single situation and every single prophecy of it doesn't matter what happens. You know, we had an incident recently where it was not a nice incident, but we've seen the good in it. And it's, you know, if you have a breakup, where is the good in it? Where if you lose a family member, I know it's heartbreaking, and I feel for anybody that does that, because I've been there and I've done that and I've lived all that as well. But there is always good in every single situation that we go through in life. And when you can see through the eyes of that lens all the time, then life just becomes so much more joyful and so much more energetic, that it doesn't matter what people throw at you. It doesn't matter what happens at that moment in present. It doesn't matter if someone cuts you up in a car, you know, when you're driving, or it doesn't matter if someone's rude to you or something. That shouldn't change who you really truly are in here. And when you truly start living from your heart and not from your head, life again becomes way better. And hey, you know, I'm not going to say, AJ, that everything is rosy in my life. You know, I'm not for 1 minute going to say that every single thing that I do every day is rosy. Like, dude, sometimes, you know, I don't want to get out of bed. Sometimes I don't want to get out of bed. But guess what? I get out of bed. I do the things that make me, give me energy, drive me to go forward. You know, sometimes there is family disputes. Sometimes there's disagreements with my business partners. Sometimes business isn't great. You know, sometimes there's loads of things. I could make a long list of stuff that, you know, is not great in my life, if that's what you want to see. But I'll be honest with you, AJ, I have the most fulfilled, beautiful life ever. And it's only being more fulfilled because I look through a set of eyes that it doesn't matter how nasty someone's being to me or how upsetting something is. It's just trying to find the good in it. And when you do that, that just transforms your life. It really does. And I know people out there are going to say, yeah, that's easy for you to say. That's easy for you to say. But I've been to them super dark places. I've been to the place that I didn't want to physically be here. I've been to that place where I sat there and was drinking alcohol all the time and taking drugs all the time. I've been there. And the reason I can say this is because this life that I lead right now is so much better than the life I had before.
Absolutely, Peter. And that is where, you know, that you said that you are having the best life that one can have. But at one point, it was all about substance abuse. I want to get your voice to all those people who are, you know, into these things. How should they look at that? Whether they go for it or do not, that's their own situations. But you have been there, you have come out of it, build a life. As you said, there are so many great moments in your life. Nowadays, 14 companies. What would you like to look at this substance abuse or any sort of an addiction in their lives, so that, you know, they are also there to be there for the best moments of their own lives?
I think that's kind of quite a broad question. So for me, like, when you think it, when someone says to me, I think everything starts with a belief. So we'll go down this route right now. Is that the belief that I used to have when I was younger? You know, let's just say the belief that I had less than 4 years ago. 4 years ago, we'll say 4 years ago, was that this was me. It was just me, and like I couldn't change, and the way I am is because this is the way I am, and the whole belief system that I created in my head and the story that I was telling myself was continuing to come true because of the fact that I was not open to change that story. And the whole concept of substance abuse and using alcohol and even cigarettes or drugs or sugar, in fact, or food as another addiction, is the reasons we do this is because we're not going and getting the source of help that we need. So understanding and being aware of what we actually are as a human being and what we actually want as human beings and choose to do is very different to what a lot of the outside world tells us. So, the biggest thing that I can tell anybody to get started is whatever they believe right now about themselves, they can change. Because 4 years ago, I did not believe that I'd be sitting here talking to you on a podcast about mental health. I would tell you that 4 years ago, I would have been saying there is no way that I'm going to be volunteering and working for Tony Robbins, who is number one in the world for public speaking, transformational coaching, one-on-one coaching, results coaching, not for 1 minute. 4 years ago, would I've been saying that to you? Not for 1 minute. I would have been saying that I was going to get married, because I'm getting married next month, right? There's not 1 minute. So, and that is because I created a belief that was saying I was never going to get married. I can't change. This is just me. This is just my life. And the biggest advice that I'll give anybody is when you say one thing about yourself, ask yourself this question. Is it impelling? Is it empowering or disempowering? So I'll say that again. The questions you ask yourself, are they empowering or disempowering? Because if they're disempowering, get rid of them. If they're not serving you, get rid of them. And the power of language is so important. It doesn't matter how we speak to someone else, but it super matters how we speak to ourselves. Because if we're not going to speak to ourselves in the right manner, we won't speak to anybody else in the right manner.
Absolutely. The power of language is very, very important. But I want to understand about that language which you spoke to about that created 14 businesses. That is very important for a lot of people who find it difficult to create one business. You have 14 businesses. Apart from the skydiving thing that you do.
I think I was very fortunate. I'm very grateful in life. I'm so grateful just to be sitting here and talking to you right now. I really am. And thank you, AJ, for your time. I really appreciate it. And so, I've been very, very fortunate in life that I was given a gift, and the gift was the gift of passion and drive, the gift that was to never give up. And I started with one business that originally my first ever business, believe it or not, was a car wash, kind of just going around knocking on doors when I was a child, creating, can I wash your car? And as much as that sounds silly, that was the first ever business that I had. And then after that, I used to buy and sell things to people. So I used to go to the market and I'd buy and sell them to different friends of mine. And then I'd make money out of it that way. And I used to do that with sweets as well. So pocket money stuff, and then it started to develop from there. And I think I've always had that drive to kind of never give up. And the last business that we set up was, actually the last business I've set up is the coaching and the transformational speaking and the transformational coaching. That's now starting to go in the right direction of where I want it to go. But the skydiving business that was a story that I used to work for another skydiving company in the UK, and there was a guy there that was a manager, and I've always had a vision at this point, I already had quite a few companies anyway dealing in retail. I already had fireworks shops in retail, and I'd been in fireworks for a long, long time, and I still am in fireworks right now. And so I could see from the outside about the customer service side of it and the product side of it, because owning a skydiving center is exactly the same as owning a retail shop. It is just a product. And all we're doing is we're selling a product. We're selling a skydive, or we're selling a firework, or I'm selling myself and my services. Prime example, yourself, you're selling yourself and your services and whatever. So it's still just a retail product. And it's the way we look at it in a real big kind of world. So I was working for a guy, and I said to him, hey, if you don't mind me giving you a recommendation, one of the things I'd do here is I'd maybe look at it doing it this way. And I can't exactly remember what it was, but it was just a different angle of what he was trying to do. And I just tried to give him a little bit of a different outlook on it. And it's the same as what we do in life. We give different people a different outlook on life, right? And his answer to me was, hey, no, I don't want to do it that way. And I said, well, maybe you should try. And he said, you know what? If you think you can do better, then go do it. And I went, you know what? Thank you very much for the idea. That's a great idea. And he looked at me and he was like, what do you mean? And I said, that's a great idea. You know what? I will just go and get my own drop zone. So that day I left and I went and spoke to a friend of mine on the phone, and I drove to his house, and his name is Nicky. He's one of my business partners right now. And I said, hey, I want to set a drop zone up. You used to have one a long time ago and your dad was in it. I need your help. Like, do you want to do it? And he was like, yeah. So I was like, cool, right. So we sat down and we started looking at different places. And the first place we looked at was, I was looking at it from a commercial point of view as well. And we were kind of, okay, this is where we're going to look at doing it. So I went on a trip out to Kenya, a skydiving trip to work for people in Kenya. That's a different story altogether. We'll come back, AJ, we'll come back and we'll do a story on that, because it's a different story altogether. And I'd love to come back on your show and tell you about that story in Kenya, because that is a different level altogether, about working in Kenya. I mean, I don't know if you'd be up for that. And so then I went out to Kenya and I met another guy called Bryn. And Bryn's job in skydiving is being a safety officer. We call them chief instructors, but he is a safety officer. So I said to him, hey, we're trying to set a drop zone up, me and Nicky. Would you like to be involved in it? Would you like to be the chief instructor? And he said, well, yeah, but whereabouts? So I told him where it was, and he was like, no, I'm not going to do that. And I was like, why? He goes, hey, well, have you ever thought about buying this skydiving center in Peterlee in Durham? And I was like, no. And he goes, okay. So I said, let me have a look at it. So we looked at it and I'm like, cool. And then he said to me, and I'll never forget the words he said to me, he said, but there's one problem. And I said, what? He said, I've tried to buy it with another guy called Michael. And I said, cool. He said, but the owner kind of wants to sell it, but he doesn't want to sell it. And I'm very doubtful that you're ever going to buy it off him. Well, AJ, when someone tells me I can't do something, that is like a red rag to a bull. That is, and that is the drive, and that is the gift that I've been given. And then 9 months later, we brought Michael on board as well, because Michael was part of Bryn. So then that's how we got 4 of us. And then 9 months later, we owned the drop zone. And in that interim period of 9 months, there was a lot of things that went on. And one of the things that I said to my business partners one day is this, and this is what I'm going to give everybody out there as well, is I said these words. We had a boardroom meeting with our financial advisors, and our financial advisors said to me, who've been part of my life all my life, they said, hey, Peter, this is not for you guys. Like, you want to do it, this, but we're telling you not to do it. This deal is not good. And they came out of the meeting and they rung me up and they were like, Peter, they said, it's not good, this deal. And I said, hey, let me ask you this question, everybody. And they said, what? I said, we can go and do this right now. And 5 years down the line, we can be regretting that we haven't done it. Or 5 years down the line, we can be celebrating we've done it. I said, which one would you rather have? And they said, well, we'd rather have the celebrating for 5 years, but that doesn't make sense. And I said, yeah, but this does. I said, if I was to strip you of every single penny you've got right now, every penny, everything, take all of it away, what would you do? I said, would you give up or would you fight? And they said, well, we fight. I said, so it doesn't really matter then. You might as well take the risk, because if we lose everything, we're going to keep fighting. So they might as well keep taking the risk, right? And that's the one thing I'll tell everybody out there, is that if you have the drive and the vision and the why of the reasons why you started it, and the reason I started this business with these other 3 people is I wanted customer service to be way better in skydiving. I wanted customers to be treated like royalty when they came to do something that is absolutely fearful as anything. I mean, they're already fearful when they come to a skydive. I want that person to feel like they're walking on fresh air when they leave and when they arrive. And that's the reason I did it. And my why is still exactly the same, is that we want customer service in skydiving to be amazing. And also someone told me that I couldn't do it.
Wonderfully, very well explained, and certainly we will do that Kenya thing.
Definitely.
So whenever you are up to it, we'll certainly
Definitely.
do that. There is so much to learn from you. There is so much to understand from you about skydiving, about business, about life, and also about your coaching. So, for a lot of people who want to get coached by you, especially, what is the best way for them to connect with you to get your coaching?
They can connect through Instagram, Facebook, and right now I'm just building a website. So my Instagram is Peter John Mather 1984. My Facebook is Peter John Mather, and my website, it will be peterjohnmather.com. And I will give you all them details, AJ, in a message so that you can put them on everything and we can share them. And yeah, I mean, right now it's just starting, but everything starts with one step forward, 2 millimeter shift, 1% each day. And you create something like you've got right now, which is a beautiful podcast. It's been amazing to be on this show. It really has. I really thank you for getting back to me. I thank you so much with all my heart for accepting me and embracing me into your podcast.
You are welcome. You are welcome, Peter. People like you help us understand life and to live life better. And that is where I ask you. One more question is that, how do you look at life now? What is it that you seek? Because 3 years, 4 years earlier on, you were looking at life differently. Now you are creating life for others, either through your business or changing their perspective through skydiving, and also by sharing your perspective on life. How do you look at your life now? What is it that you seek for yourself now?
I think, so again, that is a great question. And what I seek for my life is that consistently growing, consistently contributing. So consistently looking at how I can grow and then also how I can contribute back. So like right now, my mission statement in life is, I, Peter Mather, see here, feeling now, know that my purpose in life is to be grateful every day, share my story with the world and inspire more people to live. So I have to continue to grow personally, and I have to continue to contribute personally as well in the right manner. And that could be by just sitting here on a podcast with you right now. That could be example. I was in Spain recently for some work, and I bought a random nice couple who I didn't even know. I didn't even know them. I just bought them their dinner and I left. I left the money for them and told the waitress to not say anything and just pay for the meal. And then I left. And sometimes it may be just doing acts of random kindness. I mean, again, when I come back on your podcast again, that I'll tell you the story about I met my wife to be. It was literally from an act of kindness. From one act of kindness, I am now marrying the love of my life from this one beautiful act of kindness that I did. So looking at it from a concept of that, doing more for people is more important than doing for yourself, then life again becomes transformational. Now, I'm not for 1 minute saying don't not do things for yourself. I'm also saying, hey, you've got to be selfish, and what I mean by selfish is self-care. So looking after yourself, eating the right things, taking the right kind of, not drinking all the time, not taking substances, not being abusing of sugars and stuff like that. And I'm not saying not to eat them things like sugar, because we all do. That's fine. But a different outlook on life is, how can I give something more than what I have got, but also how can I be the best that I can be? And the thing that I do every single day is wake up, and the first thing is I'm so grateful to be here. I mean, hey, AJ, I'm 40 in less than a month. I'm 40 on the 16th of July. And I never thought I was going to get to 40. They brought me back to life at 21. So the biggest thing for me is being grateful. Forget about what we've not got. Everybody thinks about what we've not got. What have we not got? What have we not got? Oh, I've not got this and I don't get to do this. And look at him, he's going skydiving. I don't get to go skydiving all the time. No. But remember what you have got And when you think about everything that you have got, and prime example for me, just being able to speak right now to you, right, without using sign language, or being able to hear you, or being able to see you, or even just being able to move my hands and have all my own limbs, right, which is a beautiful thing. Like, people don't even get that. So as soon as you become grateful of that, and I met a guy recently, I've actually got a few friends, but I met a guy recently that he was in a wheelchair. I said to him, hey, can I ask you a question? He goes, yeah. I go, what are you most grateful for in life right now? Because understandably, did you have legs before? And he said, yes, I did. I said, okay, so what are you most grateful for? And he says, the most grateful thing I am for right now is that I can actually be able to speak to you, talk to you, breathe, move my arms, and actually have a brain and a heart to even keep living. He said, they may have took my legs away, but that is about it. And when someone in a wheelchair says that to you, that's a big eye-opener again. So that's the thing that keeps me going every day. It's just being grateful for being alive.
Absolutely grateful for just being alive, and that speaks a lot. That speaks a lot about you, about your life, and the vision that you have, and the vision and the mission. With this, it's a wrap on this very special edition of the KJ Masterclass Live. Thank you so much indeed for joining us.
Thank you, AJ. Have a wonderful day.
You too.